Hi guys, Eugene here with Darkroom Software. A couple weeks ago I did a webinar for Darkroom Booth for iPad, and there were some technical difficulties where it stopped actually broadcasting about halfway through and stopped recording. So the first part of this video will be the initial broadcast, and then the second part will be covering what was dropped from the class. So the second part is going to be dealing more with design aesthetics, templates, rebranding Darkroom Booth for iPad to have your branding, some of the more fun stuff. So if you've already watched the first part that was uploaded previously or attended the class, you can actually skip forward to the second part where we cover designing in Photoshop or editing templates in Photoshop and branding, the fun stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. First, the whole class will be available on YouTube either later today or tomorrow. So if I'm moving too fast, it's okay. You can watch it again later. If you have questions, you can ask them throughout. We'll save the end for a question and answer. And this class is a a 101 class into Darkroom Booth for iPad. So we're going to go over some pretty basic stuff, but I'll try to make sure that at least everybody can learn something from this class, hopefully. We're going to start with the difference between our event settings, that would be these settings, and then our master settings. And then because they look very similar, but we'll kind of go over that. Building, using the template options and why we have different options that look similar. Setting up an email, Twilio, event gallery, and using Darkroom hot folder. Event gallery and hot folder were made to work specifically with iPad, and then we added support for Booth and Core Edition and Pro to Event Gallery, but those three were like designed around this specific application because it is missing a few things that we're used to seeing in Darkroom Booth. So hopefully everybody can hear me, and let's start off with our event settings versus master settings. So you can set your master settings, and these are going to be applied as a template for your event settings. All the settings that you set here are going to be the default settings that you can override in the event settings. But your most commonly used options, if let's say you always like to print this type of strip, and that's kind of your thing, then that's fine. You can set those up so that whenever you set it, that create a new event, those options are already selected. And then if you need for onesie twosies, you can override them in your event settings. The other options that you have within your master settings, or just kind of the basic how the look of your app, your logins. So here's my login for Event Gallery. If I click send, it'll test it. I've already logged into Event Gallery, my email, and Twilio. But if that is something that, because it's got some private information, if that's something you're struggling with, there is guides for logging into those three at darkroomsupport.com under sharing. But the main thing is whenever you log into, let's see, here's my email. Make sure that you click the test button to ensure that it is set up properly. A lot of times people put the information in, forget to test it, and then they go to use it and it doesn't work. So there's that test button. And Here's the Twilio test button. Okay. And then, so we'll switch over to the event settings. And this is where you're going to create the event and apply those settings, like let's say the template that are specific for that event. I have one already created, but let's create a new one. Okay. And it's going to start off with our still image settings. If we wanted to do a GIF only event, we can go ahead and disable that option and click next, and then enable the GIF mode or burst mode. We'll go ahead and disable those and kind of go back. So whatever you have enabled will show up whenever you start up, when you start the session or you're in the actual booth mode. We'll go ahead and turn this back on. I'm right-handed, so I'm working with my left hand over here, so struggling just a little bit. But we'll scroll up. So this is what you see here is going to, and I'll try to help with my mouse, is going to be what captures. We have this strip, and this would be for sharing, versus these two right here are going to be more for printing because they're set up as a 4x6. So when it prints out, your printer can cut it in half. If you were to try printing this, it would enlarge it. And so there are different layouts depending on your output. So that's the reason for these. And we'll learn about setting up for printing a little bit later. But specifically, whenever you design your templates, you'll want to design with this in mind rather than this style. And if you go to darkroomsupport.com and go to templates, there should be PSD guides for each of those templates available, so you can download them and you know exactly where images should be placed, because the image nodes are not currently movable within the software, so you have to design it around that layout. But we should have a PSD guide for every layout that we have here, and specifically the ones that are meant for printing. There's additional bleed that's built into it to work with the wireless connect module. So you have the option to add an overlay. Let's see if I have one that we can choose. We'll go with the square and choose. I think I have something in my camera roll. I think that will work. So you can see that it's applied a graphic around the image, and this was actually meant for, if you look at the images, there are multiple versions of this. You can use this type of multiple images with animation kind of built into the images and piece them together with the GIF option. That's what I'll show you that in just a second. So you can do, oops, I don't have remove.bg built in or added, but you can use remove.bg. That would require internet connection. And then you could have your own background, and you actually don't have to have a green screen. Even though it says green screen, it's using artificial intelligence. And if there's anything that I appear to skip or don't go into enough information on, please add a question, and I'll try to keep an eye on it as we continue. So we have a graphic added. You can also add a logo, but that's just a normal square. That's easy enough to know. So when we get to, we'll go ahead and enable this option. We'll stick with a square and 5 shots. We'll do overlay, animated overlay. Okay, so choose, and this is where it's going to get kind of tedious, but you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so we have, where does it look like it starts? Okay, right here. Now, oops. Choose camera. Probably should delete some of these other images before we started, but maybe I passed it. Okay. So number 2. Sorry guys if this part is boring. Let's see. I'm probably grabbing from the wrong batch. Okay, we'll try that one. 2 more. Okay, I think I selected all the images in the right order, so when they play back, it will look as if the leaves are falling. So, and then for this one, we'll just do a rectangle so we know there's a little difference here. And that's going to be a burst mode, and we will add a logo instead of a overlay. Files. Nope. Hoping I have some sort of logo in here. Okay, Darkroom. Okay, and you can see that it's in the top right corner. If we wanted to move it to the bottom corner, we can do that. And then we'll click next. We're going to go ahead and upload to Event Gallery. It's a good idea to save a local copy. There's I get from support, I'll get an email or a message saying that they didn't have good internet connection and they're uploading to Dropbox and it didn't upload. So always, if you can, in any part of your life, make a backup that is local. So whether you're talking about your personal pictures or whatever you can, because that's going to be the most instant backup copy that you can make and hopefully the most reliable. It's also good to have an off-site backup just in case of something happening locally. But that's kind of my spiel on data and backing up. So we're going to save everything to the camera roll, and I'm actually not going to upload to OneDrive or Dropbox because I have an event gallery enabled, so it's going to automatically upload there, and that's what we're going to use for sharing. I have email and SMS, so those are both turned on, and for right now I'm going to disable or leave these unchecked or toggled off, and we'll get to those in just a second. So here is our new event, and the idea behind this app is it's meant to be simple, that you can essentially just pick it up and kind of fiddle your way through it and to get it working. So it's not complex yet. Maybe in the future we'll start adding additional features like we have in Booth and turn it from something that's meant to be simple into something that's very robust. But with that comes a little bit of complexity. So let's go ahead and start it so you can see what we're talking about. So I don't have kind of access mode, but it's just giving me a few things to let me know what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and start the event. And it's reminding me to exit the event. I'm going to tap 1, 2, where's my mouse? Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 to exit. And after a while, it becomes a little bit more, because the first times I was doing it, it was a little awkward finding exactly where to touch, but after a while, it becomes, just second nature. Go ahead and start it. So we have the 3 different options enabled, and we can use all 3 of them. So let's try just taking a photo, and it's set for square. And then it's going to give me an option. Oh, I don't have Twilio turned on, so I'll check on that in just a second. And then it's sent. Of course, I got a big old leaf right in the middle of my face, but okay. So this is going to be the 5 images it's going to take. And there goes our animation. We'll go ahead and click done. And then the burst is going to be a video that's then chopped up and then played back. So those are the 3 different capture options that you have. Let's say I didn't want to have the make a GIF enabled. I'm going to click 1, 2, and it's top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. I'm going to click edit. Next. Mode, and turn that off. I'm going to click back, and then while I was searching, I think I found a better graphic. But you can see it's saving all the captured images and video. And my suggestion would be adding your graphic files to your files rather than your camera roll. But right here, I have a different design. I believe this one's free at darkroomtemplates.com. We have a few different layouts that you can download as PSDs and edit them and update them. But now we've updated with a save. Okay. And start. So now we should only have those 2 options, and when it takes the single photo, it's going to have a new graphic. So we'll exit back out again. Okay, so welcome to part 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with just the branding within Darkroom. We're going to click on the master settings and then click on design, and let's go ahead and reset it so we're all on the same page. Delete those. Okay, so Darkroom comes with our color scheme, a reddish color. So the first thing you can do is you can choose your own color. We'll select a teal color, and then let's go with a little darker version and choose. And now if we start up and test it. Whoops. We want to make sure we save each time. So now when we go back and start it, it should have, rather than the reddish color, it'll now have that teal. And it looks like it already has my logo there. And that's specifically the color, why I chose those colors. It goes with my logo. Yep, I've already added it. But let's change it to, if you want to add your own logo, you'd go copy the logo file to either your camera roll or files. And you can see I have a albums, favorites. Let's switch it to the darkroom just to see it change. So the next thing, and you can go through and kind of rebrand and color all these just to match your scheme. But let's go to the attract screen. So this is a screen that by default is not used. If you add a screen, and this can be an image or a video, and I'll show you both. So I'm going to add a tap to begin, and then save. And we'll start it up. Oh, let's see, that did not work. Let's see what we did wrong. Settings, design, track screen, it's there. Let's try a video. That's usually what most people use this option for. So here we go. Use. And save, done. Okay. Let's see if it works now. Okay, there's our attract video. And what you do is you just touch, and then it goes into the normal look that you're used to, kind of the more default. So let's exit out of there, and we're going to add a couple more. Oops. Oh. So we have our track screen, then we can add a background image for our camera. So rather than seeing the live view, we'll choose that guy. It makes it a little bit, if you go too light, it makes the buttons kind of hard to see. So, and then we'll also add a share screen. Same thing. And I'll add that lighter version just so you can see. Save changes. And remembering to test and check everything as you work so you can see how it responds. So now we have our start screen. This is hiding that live view with the color overlay. So we can go ahead and let's take a photo. I probably should have set it to only one photo just for speed, but and then now it should show our and you guys are seeing a preview of what's to come. But the I have my share background, and I'm gonna go ahead and click done. And so one more thing I want to talk about is these little icons that you have right here. It says take photo, make a burst. We can change that text as well. Go back to design, and instead of make a burst, ring. And instead take a photo. Just for fun. And done. And we're going to go to start. Now we can see those settings have been updated with the new text. So that's some of the design options that you have within Darkroom Booth to make it your own, or I'm sorry, Darkroom Booth for iPad to make it your own design so it matches with how you talk and how your company looks. So let's the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about templates. And I know we've gone over previously a little bit of these options here, but we're going to do some designing or editing in Photoshop and then move it over. Okay, so here we are on my desktop. One quick thing I want to show you is if you go to darkroomtemplates.com and click on iPad templates, you can download the different guides that we have for the different print templates, and you can see these are the track screens that we have. So we have a few that you can purchase, but the guide templates are free. And I already have this one downloaded, I believe, and this one. These are our guides, and then down here we have some other designs that you can kind of check out, and those are also free to help you get started with learning how to use Darkroom Booth for iPad and how to edit some of the PSD templates. So we're going to stick with the guides for right now. Let's go ahead and minimize that, and let's see, go to my downloads. And here we go. This is kind of just a basic guide for the 3 square image on a 4x6 for print, and so you get two 2x6s. If we double click on that, it's going to open up in Photoshop, and this has been made pretty easy. If you wanted, you can add your footer here, your logo, and that would work just for a basic overlay. But we're going to add a graphic. Let's choose this guy right here, and this is really neat how this all works. We'll get that there, and now that we've placed our background, we'll actually turn it into an overlay. What we're going to do is grab our mask layer right here and apply it to the background, and then hide the white background layer. And now we can see through. If we wanted to add, let's say, a drop shadow, we can add a drop shadow. Let's turn off those guides because we don't really need them for this. The guides are there just in case you want to add your own elements and line them up, but you can turn on and off your guides with Control and semicolon. So you can see there's a drop shadow, or let's say we want to add a white stroke around it. We'll turn off the drop shadow and click OK. Next thing that we're going to do is add some text. We'll say Patty's Day, and we'll just say it's in 2 days from today, 7/26/2021. And just for fun, we'll go ahead and add a drop shadow there to make it just a little bit easier to read. What we want to do, and this is where the guides come in really handy because it's hard to see where we are. We turn them back on, we kind of line up between those two guides to get it as centered as possible. And then let's duplicate that. And move that one right there. Everything you do to one side, you have to also do the other, so that you get similar, the two strips are similar. Now these won't be identical because this background is not duplicated one side to the other side. The background is going to be different from one to the other. You could show you something you could do, and then I'm going to tell you why I don't recommend it. Copy paste. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so I could take, looks like I duplicated that on accident. This over here, and then whoops, there we go. So now they would be identical. They have they're both the same, but when you're printing, if this is not straight in the middle, then you're going to end up getting part of one image on the other, and this is something that's pretty difficult to do with a die sub printer. So that's why I would not suggest it. I just wanted to show you how you could do it if you wanted to. Let's go ahead and delete those layers because we don't need them. And so the next thing you would do is save it to your computer as a copy, and we're going to select PNG, and what we will do is save it to OneDrive. This makes it a little bit easier. And what's going to happen is it's going to sync up with the iPad, and then you can save it to your camera roll from the iPad from OneDrive to the camera roll, and then add it to Darkroom. So let me see. There is another guide. We'll go ahead and close that. This one is pretty neat. I'm going to show you kind of the same process and what you can do with this. So we'll use the same background. Just place it right there. And make sure it's in the correct order. So now we see that checkerboard pattern. That means we can see through to the background. Let's say this was for a wedding. If we need to make it just a little bit smaller just to make sure everything fits in there, we can do that now, and then let's rotate it to just a little bit. Okay. And then we had to update the date. But if you drop a graphic behind this layer right here, this is an adjustment layer for hue and saturation, you can go through and change the color. So that's what it originally was there for, is to, when you have this basic setup, you can skew those colors so that it matches up with the event color scheme. Or if you don't want to do that, you can choose your own gradient or your own background or graphic and just apply it, but we'll just do that right there. So, and then we do the same thing, save it as a PNG with transparency. You want to make sure you can see those checkerboard patterns, and then to a cloud service so that it moves it over to our iPad. And we'll go ahead and do that with this one. Save as copy, PNG. I'm sure I already have one in there, but okay. So now let's go ahead and switch back over to the iPad and add those back in. And we can go ahead and click edit, next, and we did the score strips, so you can see it's already there from when I did it earlier, but we'll go ahead and remove that. Click choose and files. So what let me show you how to get an image from OneDrive over to your camera roll. So I should have we'll take this one, we'll click share, save to files, and then we'll put it in Darkroom. So it's saving to the files rather than camera roll, I'm sorry. So now that that's saved, we switch over to Darkroom, click on files, Darkroom, there's the one we just saved, and then we're going to want to update it with the correct layout so everything matches up. So even though Darkroom Booth is a little bit limited with your design options like we have with Darkroom Booth, it causes you to rely a little bit more on Photoshop or other designers that are making specifically for Darkroom Booth for iPad. But this is a good opportunity to step up your Photoshop game and learn a little bit more and bring in some really unique designs from your brain and move them to print. I hope this has been helpful. For those who were attending the class, I apologize. Things happen. I'm sorry that it dropped, but hopefully this makes up for it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email support@darkroomsoftware.com, or you can add a comment to the video in YouTube. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.